Hey, what's going on, guys? Doug here. Thanks for tuning in to the third installment of our weapons tier list series, joined by Pureblue this time, and we're going to be doing Pyro. Hi, Pureblue.
Hey, what's going on? Excited to be here.
It's a world stage that you found yourself on. You play a lot of Pyro?
Oh, you know, a fair amount.
You dabble? you
Only on the vlog.
you dabble in some flog gameplay. All right, let's get straight into it. We've got, as usual, 5 tiers: D tier, C tier, B tier, A tier, and S tier. Extinguisher. This was S tier, right? But then
Used to
it
way
got
back when.
nerfed. It got nerfed way back when. The old Puff and Sting, this was S tier.
Dude,
I don't even
I
think I could tell you exactly what this does now. It does a
I think
mini
it's
crit. It does a mini
yeah,
crit and it gives you a speed boost and it extinguishes them,
yeah.
right?
I think it uses up their burn damage.
I think it's still pretty good. It still does a lot of damage. Still pair it
I
with the
think it's a B
degreaser.
tier though. I think it's a B tier. You wouldn't
Yeah.
really pick it over some of the stronger melee weapons, but it's
I
not useless.
I agree. I agree. All of Pyro's melee weapons, except for two
Oh,
of them, are not that bad, really. Backburner. This thing's good, man. This
mm,
thing's good. The critical hitbox can be a bit janky sometimes, but I often see this a lot of the time as just being a straight upgrade to stock. To be completely honest, you can still
if you're air
air blast.
blasting more than 4 times in a row, something else is going on. You're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe.
And the only time that you would find use for air blasting more than 4 times in a row, so just holding down mouse 2, is probably when you're reflecting spam off of a dispenser or a sentry nest anyway. I think it's really, really good. I think it's really, really good. I think it's probably A tier.
Yeah, I
I
was
think it's
saying
probably
I don't think it's quite S, but A tier would be definitely more than
yeah.
fair. It's a strong A tier.
Absolutely. This thing is freakishly good. The back scratcher. If you don't know what the back scratcher does, it increases the health that you get from from health packs by 75% or 50%, sorry. So basically a small health pack turns into a medium pack basically turns into a full pack, etc. With the downside that you get a lot less health back from medics. On
Yeah.
certain maps, this is just ridiculously good. If you're playing 2 fort, if you're playing high tower, or if you don't have any medics in general, amazing
Oh,
weapon.
it
But
just makes little health packs a lot more useful than they
it
ordinarily
does.
would be.
It does. I think it's B. I think it's confidently in B
B,
tier. It
yeah, B
also
tier
gives a
would
damage bonus, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it does 25% extra damage, which is also fun.
the Greaser would have been S tier, easy
Yeah.
A tiers, I think. Still, there's not really much debate about that, is there? It's not
Um,
quite as good as it used to be, but I would still give it an A tier.
yeah,
It's for the nerd
it's
pyros,
yeah,
is
it's
what
for
it
the
is.
it's for the loser pyros, eh?
Mm.
Um, it's good, isn't it? It's probably better than the back burner, really, isn't it? Overall.
I think in overall, just an all round weapon, I think it is.
Yeah. Do you
Nah,
reckon? Do you reckon?
no. I think the backbone deserves its place in A tier.
You reckon it deserves its spot?
Nothing melts pub players like a backbone with a
Hmm.
speed blade.
Hmm. Well, there is something, but we'll get to
Apart from
we'll
pub
get to that
blades.
later.
Detonator S tier.
Detonator. You reckon?
Yep.
No.
The mobility it gives you, and still does good
Yeah.
damage. If you
What?
light it
Good
on.
damage. This thing does no damage. It does like 20 damage with a mini crit. It's got like a 70% damage reduction, doesn't it?
True.
What is this? Trying to sabotage the list.
Some false information there.
No.
Maybe not S
There's
tier.
overall there's no way the detonator's better than the flare gun, and there's absolutely no world in which it's better than the
Okay.
scorch shot.
All right.
It's
I just
good.
think I just think the mobility that it gives Pyro is something that the class lacks. Like it's just
Mm,
you can't understate the ability of being able to jump somewhere you wouldn't ordinarily see a Pyro.
I think B tier, high B tier is probably
High B tier.
sensible Because if we skip forward, so if we skip forward to the flare gun and the scorch shot, you'd pretty much always prefer the scorch shot, right? Because you can still do the mobility, you can still jump. Okay, you can't do the crazy jumps, but there's not really many scenarios where that crazy jump is good anyway, right?
Yeah.
And the scorch shot gives you that mobility. It does more damage. It's
The
easy.
knockback.
Yeah, the knockback is just crazy. But I also don't think that this is an S tier weapon. Maybe, I don't know. I think that this is probably a B tier.
You know, yeah, that's. I've seen the light. I understand. I think a B tier.
Dragon's Fury is kind of poo, I think. It's cool at melting heavies and pyros, but you've got to actually aim with it, which doesn't really go very well with Pyro's playstyle. Yeah, it's a skill issue weapon.
It's a B tier.
It's hard to... I don't even know. I think it's worse than these three, to be honest.
Yeah,
it does, but it does single target crazy damage, which is just not what you even want as Pyro, really. Because this isn't a flanking weapon, right? The back burner is always going to be a better flanking weapon. The flog is going to be a better flanking weapon. It's not an air blasting weapon, because the degreaser and the stock are always going to be a better air blasting defense weapon. You can't pie bro with this either.
That's true.
It's a weapon where it's a weapon where you walk in, you kill a heavy, or you kill one player and then you die.
Yeah. I think it's a situationally a 1v1 weapon.
I think it's a C. I think it's his weakest flamethrower.
That's true. It's Team Fortress, not 1v1. You know, it's not Quake Arena. You know, there's no... Yeah.
Should we put this in D tier? This is just garbage. Pyro has some of the best melee weapons in the game, right?
There's no reason to use that. There's straight upgrades.
There is no reason to not use these two. There's no reason... I can't think of a single weapon that you'd be better off not using. It just doesn't make sense. Flamethrower. I think overall this is better than the degreaser and the backburner. It just does too much damage. You can do everything with it. It seems to be the go-to pick for people that take Pyro super seriously. I feel like the only people that prefer the degreaser over the stock are the people that have had a pro kill streak degreaser for the last 10 years and they've got 40,000 kills on it, so they just don't want to swap, right? I feel like, or the people that have really mastered the flare gun with the degreaser.
You can't go back to the...
Because I feel like you need the only issue with the degreaser that keeps it out of S tier is the fact that it forces you to use the flare gun, right? Like, what else?
Yeah.
What else are you going to use? What else do you need fast weapon switch for? It forces you to use it. And you can use the extinguisher with it as well. But S tier, I think that's fair. Flare gun?
Yep.
I think the flare gun...
I'm thinking A tier. You know? Is it the best of the flare guns? I would say no, but does... You know, what does it do? You can do a lot of single target damage. You know, you can take a good 1v1, but that's about it.
Well, it's damage over mobility, right? So if we put these two right next to each other, I think that actually looks really good, because the detonator will never do the damage that the flare gun will do. But
you don't think
you can
A tier, though?
Well, then where do you put the scorch shot then? Because the scorch shot has the ability. Yeah.
Because you got to think the flare gun can pretty much, you know, it doesn't one shot, but it essentially one shots a light class. You know, 90 damage, but if you've lit them on fire, 125 HP doesn't go very far.
Yeah. I think that's that. Yeah, I could see that. I think it would be at the bottom of A tier, because the scorch shot is notably better.
Yeah.
In majority of situations. Because when you hit someone directly with the scorch shot, the way that the shot falls to the ground and then explodes again, you actually hit them for about 60 damage. Which is 66%, of the flare gun. And keeping in mind, right, the flare gun only crits when you're on fire. So you've got to hit 2 shots to get that big damage, unless they're already on fire, right? But anyway, this weapon stinks, man. Never use this. The gas passer. The only reason that I would maybe put it at the bottom of C tier is because it's so busted in MVM, right?
But this is not a MVM tier list, is it?
Well, the way that we've been doing it over the last 2 episodes is it's mainly focusing on casual, but if a weapon is like D tier in casual or competitive, but then it's like if this was an MVM tier list, this would be up here, right? And I think that has to be factored in a little bit. Yeah, but the just how bad this is in 99% of scenarios keeps it, like for example with the Scout, we put the Boston Basher in the middle because down here in casual, up here in competitive, lands it around here. But for this, it's just so bad in casual that we're going to have to leave it in C. It's terrible. The Home Wrecker, the Engineer Broski weapon, probably goes in C tier, is what I'm thinking. It's not that good. Like, it's awesome. How awesome does it feel to, kill a spy, he backstabs your NG, and then you destroy the sapper? Like, that's cool. How often does it happen? Like, how often does it happen? So rare.
Who's playing Pyro to babysit their NG? Maybe if you ask nicely, but it's not.
Nah, you'd have to send me a key, I think, for me to do that. I think it's at the top of C. Like, it's just, if you just look at it as, would you rather have these 2 weapons or this in most scenarios? The only time you're ever happy that you've got this is in that incredibly niche scenario.
I think that's fair.
The only time I actually see people use this is if there's a teleporter being sapped at spawn and someone swaps to Pyro just to kill the sapper with the Home Wrecker. It's the only time I see it. The hand.
The hot hand, useless D tier, worse than the Pyrex. It's funny. It's like the fish though. Where did the fish end up?
Well, the fish wasn't on it there, but the fish is just the bat, right? The fish is just a reskin. But I think the bat ended up like in C tier or something.
Yeah, I think
the hand sucks. It's a funny weapon, but yeah, it does like less damage, doesn't it? It does half damage. It does scout melee damage. Yeah. Man Melter. This thing's pretty shit.
Yeah, why are you not just extinguishing someone with your flamethrower?
Yeah, and I mean, if you've got the flog, all right, fair enough. But I mean, man, you'd have to be a serious team player to run that combo.
Yep.
I don't think it's as bad as these 2 because it can still do damage. It can still extinguish people. It's got uses. Way better than this fucking garbage thing, I think. It's probably sitting around there. Maybe you could do this.
They could swap spots.
But
it's really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
This
thing sucks, man. But it's funny.
It is, but you got to think how many maps actually have water on it that people know.
Dude, I thought we were going to be seeing a lot of these running around in the new update. Venice came out that had well, I shouldn't say had, that has lots of water. The seal map has a bit of water floating around. The infamous 2-fort Pyro Shark. These things, the Mad Milk and the Girardi. These things can happen. But it's so situational. And I mean, it's probably just in here, isn't it?
It's better than those. But
I mean, there's no reason you'd ever have these 2 over this unless you're being funny with the hand.
Yeah.
The panic attack. This shotguns on Pyro just aren't good. Like, if you're at close range, just burn people. The DPS is higher. Like, I'm sure if you're just sitting point blank in front of someone, the DPS with the shotguns is higher, but you're not going to be in their face and hitting every pellet, right? I just
Yeah.
don't see other pyros, but even then, like as long as your tracking's good, you shred pyros with your flamethrower.
Mm,
It's,
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad as a complete weapon though. I don't. I think it either deserves top of C tier or bottom of B tier. It is
I was
still an
thinking B.
okay weapon.
Well,
Yeah.
this particular weapon is quite good, right?
Yeah.
It's I would argue that it's probably at the bottom of B tier.
Yeah. I think so. I think there's more
I
than
think
B.
this I think the stock shotgun is better.
Yeah.
And I think the reserve
Well,
shooter is worse.
yeah.
The flog. I think
There's only
this
one
is
place.
probably S tier, isn't it? Like
Just the ability to a free to play to just destroy a server with a flog.
have you not seen my video? Use the flog, get the women. It's it
This might get a lot
tears
of
shit
hate,
up.
but it is
Well,
just
you can't
objectively
argue with the truth.
destroy. It's true.
You can't argue with the truth. It's such an insanely good weapon. You get a medic, and a pyro together, coordinated. Oh my gosh. Carnage. Absolute carnage on the right map. We'll just whack that up here as well, I think. Is there really any other pyro weapon pyro melee that you should be using?
No,
Not that I
I
can
don't think I
think
used
of.
anything else.
Mobility, absolute no-brainer. Bullet, the bullet vulnerability only comes into play when you're probably dead anyway. It's the only time that would really come into play is if you're trying to run away. And
Yeah,
what is
and
it?
then you think of it like
15%? Is it
yeah,
15%? Like that's not
something
really
like that. And
anything,
then
is
it's
it?
like then the escape plan, is an S tier soldier weapon, basically.
Yeah.
And it has a worse downside if you're thinking of damage taken things. But the mobility is crazy. So I think S tier.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'd agree with that. I think this is worse than the panic attack, the reserve shooter. 3 shots, garbage. And you'd be like, oh, well, you just air blast them in the air and shoot them. Yeah,
Yeah, just do it with the
garbage.
flare gun then.
Yeah, you're not good. You're missing the shot. I'm sorry. And then you've only got 3 shots. You miss 2. You hit 1, it does 18 damage, and then you die. And then you unequip the weapon.
Yep.
Beautiful story. The scorch shot. This
rough,
thing's
though. I don't know if
wicked, man.
you think it's good enough for S tier?
Yeah, I reckon it's better than both of these weapons.
Mm,
100%. This thing's so good. There's not
that is the best secondary weapon for Pyro. I think that would be the case.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like the flare gun's cool. But it's just the issue I have with the flare gun as well is if you're pairing it with the degreaser and you're going for like that puff and sting combo, the time that it takes you to light them on fire, swap weapon, shoot, and then return back to your degreaser and then click mouse 2, you're guaranteed to eat a rocket at close range against someone that's good. It's just not as good. It's not as good. This thing paired with the flog, insane. It's never not useful. There's scenarios where the flare gun's not useful at all. There's scenarios where the detonator's not useful at all. This thing works against Ubers. It pushes Ubered players back, if you didn't know that. It's hitting them. It doesn't need to do damage for it to push them back. It's crazy. It's so good.
And it hits everyone as well. The splashes.
Volcano Fragment. This thing sucks. It's D tier. It stinks. It's poo. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's a memed on weapon.
I can't remember the last time I've seen someone use it.
I died to it a couple of weeks ago and I wanted to quit my game.
Double check what it was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, new update? New weapons? Shotgun. Better than the panic attack. Not as good as the detonator.
Mid B tier.
Probably mid B tier. Yeah, somewhere in and around there.
Those 3 in the middle there. I think extinguisher. Those can kind of all be, but interchangeable in their rankings there.
Bit murky. Yeah. The jetpack. This thing totally sucks, but it does have a bit of fun factor. It's better than the gas passer for sure.
Better than the man mouser, I reckon. Better than the sign.
You could probably find more use for it consistently than the sign.
It's useful on pretty much every map. you know, with exceptions, whereas the sign not so much.
The issue with the backpack is it just takes so long to take out and put away.
Mm.
You take fall damage. Yeah, you can use it with the back burner and it's kind of fun, but I think that's probably where it lives, right? Like it's not as good as
That's a
the.
bit generous. I think it belongs. I don't think anyone's taken that over any other secondaries realistically, unless there's a specific jump you're
Like the
playing.
reserve shooter. Like the reserve shooter should probably be down here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, they both. Yeah, I think that's cool. Last weapon. These two are reskins, by the way. The Postal Pummeler is a reskin of the Extinguisher. The Maul is a reskin of the Homewrecker, so they would just go in the exact same spots. This is the only weapon in the entire game that is a straight upgrade from stock with absolutely no
Controversial S
downsides.
tier because of this.
That is a hot take. Still sucks, doesn't it? Like the utility, it's the fire axe. When do you ever
You
like
know,
see this
I
come into
have
play? It
a
should go in.
tie to it as medic, and it is. You don't know what's going on because you forget it's even in the game, and then you're just dead. But it's not good by any means.
100%. It look, to be honest, I'd probably rather have it over the Neon Annihilator because there's always going to be a medic on the other team, right? Whereas there's not always water. But you'd probably rather have it probably lives somewhere up here, I reckon.
There's 3 other melee weapons you would rather have in the
Yeah, for
list.
sure. I mean, you'd much rather have this. I mean, sorry, you would rather have this. You would much rather have these, and this is what you should be having, right?
That's 100%.
What do we think of the list? Anything that now that we've got a completed list, Pyro has a lot of shit weapons, doesn't he? Like he just has a lot of garbage you would not use or you shouldn't use.
Is that score shot meant to be an S tier? I'm thinking it's S tier, but that's the only one I'd be moving around.
Yeah, well, I've been advocating for Scorch Shot S tier for the since we began. I've thought it's just so good.
Wouldn't call it a misclick then. Misinput to put an A tier.
Happy with that? Are we happy to leave that like that?
I'm happy to leave it like that. The clear options are either default flog, score shot, and the power jack. And if you see 99% of players using these realistically.
I mean, really, just in this S tier here, we've got, and you could maybe make an argument that this should go here, like comparatively speaking to the other flamethrowers. But I think regardless of whether it was here or here, it's pretty similar kind of stuff. You can see in these, if we do move that there for a moment, you can see these 5 weapons. You find 99% of pyros, if you load into a casual game right now, are going to be using a combination of these 5 weapons. And then you throw that in there for the other 1%. Like, you just don't see these things down here very much at all, especially not serious. So, Pureblue, thank you for your input. Thank you for joining me on episode 3. Going to get Pureblue back to do some others down the track. Going to do some map tier lists, some general class tier lists, some cosmetic tier lists. They're super fun to do. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys. Bye.